My mom did something completely inappropriate at her dad's funeral. Too long did not read. My self-victimizing mom embarrassed my grandpa at his own funeral and IDK if I should ever speak to her again. This is way long. Sorry. Lots on my mind. My family recently lost my grandpa, mom's dad, over the summer. It happened pretty quickly. He was sick for a long time but was still extremely lively and showed no signs of running out of time. Of course, that's when these things happen. My 21F mom, 53F, planned the entire funeral. She didn't take anyone else's opinion into regard, planning it around her work schedule to be in her local church despite it being in another city from where my grandpa lived. She didn't let her mom or her sister help with anything and didn't even tell them about the post-funeral lunch until the night before. So, we all get to the church for the service. The plan is my mom's priest. I don't think he ever even met my grandpa, at least not in the last 10 years. We'll say a eulogy, we'll go to the cemetery for the burial, and then the aforementioned lunch. No one in the family is allowed to speak at the funeral. Just this priest. He's going entirely off of what my mom told him. Now, for some background about my grandpa. He was a Marine and took a lot of well-earned pride in this fact. He traveled the world after retirement to help soldiers. He watched my brother, 22M, and I every week when my parents had responsibilities as paramedics and bought my family groceries all the time. He was truly a wonderful, altruistic man. You'd think my mom would share all of these things with the priest to talk about, right? A eulogy to honor a former Marine and loving father, brother, and grandpa? No. Of course not. One thing my grandpa didn't talk about was having bipolar disorder. It's outdated, I know, but I think talking about it hurt his pride. Hell, I only know because I got diagnosed with it as well and he wanted to make sure I knew I wasn't alone. This topic was to be avoided and none of us talked about it. It was Grandpa's business. My mom told the priest. She was in charge of my grandpa's medical well-being, so whether he told her or not she would have known about his mental health. So this priest starts the eulogy and starts talking about how my grandpa battled his demons of bipolar disorder, and the whole room tenses up. My grandpa's brother had to be physically restrained from standing up. The priest looks at my mom and says, "That's what you told me, right?" She just nods solemnly like she has no idea. 30 minutes. 30 minutes of this stranger priest talking about my grandpa's bipolar disorder, completely inaccurately and inappropriately, might I add. He didn't say a word about his service. About his love for his family. About his sense of humor or his love of classic cars or his obsession with Coca-Cola. We were all stunned and sat there in angry silence, and none of us were even given the chance to stand up and speak about him afterwards. The car ride to the cemetery was largely silent with my dad, brother, and mom. I don't remember who mentioned what had happened, but my mom defended it. My brother defended her. I don't think my dad weighed in. I couldn't even speak, I was so mad. The burial came and went. He actually did get a lovely military ceremony, which was nice. I cried, it was what he would have wanted, etc. etc. The only people that came to the reception were my immediate family, my aunt and her boyfriend and son, and my brother's girlfriend. I sat with my aunt. She asked for help taking some flowers to the car, and we both exploded to each other about the whole thing. I'm a lot closer to my aunt than my mom. For some context, my mom is a desperate attention seeker and needs to be the number one person on everyone's mind. She constantly put me down and used my mental, physical health struggles to make her look like this oh-so-poor mom struggling with a problem child. She used my aunt's dyslexia growing up to make herself look better by being the smart sister. I could go into a lot more detail about how my mom treats me and my aunt as well as her other victimizing tendencies, but I feel like just mentioning that gets the point across. My aunt and I agree that my mom 100% used my grandpa's funeral. We think she was trying to make a point about how she had to take care of my grandpa as he aged because he was so cripplingly mentally ill. God, he would be furious if he heard that, since she was always there for him, aka essentially took away all of his choice in his own medical care despite him arguing. It backfired tremendously since everyone is incredibly pissed at my mom, but we do think that's the case. My aunt has been debating not talking to her anymore and said this may be the last straw. I've tried to give my mom a chance afterwards in hopes that maybe embarrassing my grandpa like this taught her a lesson, but she hasn't changed at all. I don't know why I even bother hoping anymore. She's never changed, so why would she now? But she's my mom. I don't think I could ever cut out my mom. What do I even do about this? I know you're only seeing one incident, but please understand that we reacted this way for a reason. This wasn't an isolated act of my mom behaving strangely. This is a pattern that caused some major issues. I can't stop thinking about how angry my grandpa would have been if he heard that eulogy. I don't know if I should forgive and forget. I know she'll do something similar in the future. That's not even a question. Do I move on? Do I talk to my mom about this? Do I confront Farr specifically? The priest should have known better. I can't comprehend how he thought it best to bring any of that up. JS. You can't change what happened, but you should talk to the priest. Tell him that in the future he should talk to several members of the family to get a better picture of the man he's eulogizing instead of one bitter, attention-seeking daughter. Personally, I don't think I'd be able to not confront your mother. I'd rip her a new one, tell her how disappointed I am in her, and then tell her not to show her face until she makes amends to the family. As for your grandpa, do you have a local paper that publishes obituaries and memorials? If so, I'd write one about your grandpa and all the things about him and have it published. It will likely cost a few $100s depending on length. If not, I'd post it on Facebook with the heading, "The eulogy my grandpa should have gotten." Nearly 1 month update. Leaving my fiancé of 8 years. Hey everyone, for anybody still reading these updates lol. I just wanted to give a little update after around a month since everything occurred. A lot has happened in these last 2 weeks. Also disclaimer, I never realized I made a typo on fiancé. I haven't noticed that I was making the mistake until yesterday. So, fiancé will now be fiancé lol. Anyway, after my last update I had to go into the office that week. Because of my friends and some nice people on here, I felt confident to wear my makeup to work. I don't really know how to explain it, but think Chris motionless in a suit and tie. However, I only have earrings and my hair is unique to me. I go to work like this and on my first day back I notice a very attractive woman in the elevator with me. It was just her and I. She had beautiful black hair with blonde highlights. Her makeup was done amazing. She was also wearing a very nice black dress with red heels. I mentioned to her that I love her outfit and she said thank you. She looked back at me and said she liked my style. Anyway, we got off the elevator at the same time. I said to her, "Oh, do you have a meeting with blank?" She said, "Yes I do. Do you?" I told her yes. I responded with my handout and my name. She said, "Hey, blank, I am Alice." Not her real name. I went, "Alice." She laughed and said, "Hi, off topic, Alice and I work in different departments but have to mingle often due to our jobs intercepting with each other frequently." I had never seen a picture or seen Alice in calls. She has never seen me either. So, we got to our meeting and do our job. At lunch we sit together and just talk. I asked her to go out to dinner since she has never been here before. She said to me, "I don't think your fiancé would like that. No one from my job was invited our wedding so no one really even knows I was engaged." Alice knew because I told her. I then go on to tell her what happened and she said I am sorry. Shen then agrees to dinner. We go to a nice little place and have dinner. We are just making small talk when she mentioned my situation again. I am honest about everything and she start telling me about her situation. Alice is few years older than me and said how she had been with her HS sweetheart since they were 16. I guess a little over a year ago she stated that he had cheated on her and they separated. She has not dated since. We continue to bullshit for a while then we go our separate ways. Next day at work she asked if we can have dinner on Friday since she is leaving on a plane Saturday morning. I said, "Sure, sounds like fun." Friday comes around and we got out to some bar place with music. We have food, no drinks, and dance a little bit for fun. Eventually, we go back to her hotel room and talk for a while. Just usual banter, but eventually she mentions that she hasn't had sex in over a year. I didn't say anything. She then goes on to tell me that she hates hooking up because no guys are willing to wear a condom and that most guys are hooking up with several women at once, that they probably have diseases and haven't even been checked. She looks at me and says, "Do you have any idea what that is like?" I responded with, "No. I don't, I haven't been single since I was in my early 20s so no." She just keeps going on about how it sucks and how it just shitty out there. I apologize that I don't what it is like. She says, "Not, it isn't your fault. I'm just venting." She said, "I am going to the bathroom." And I asked her if she wanted me to leave so she could get some sleep since she had a flight in the morning. She said, "No, I will be out in a minute." After a bit she comes out of the bathroom naked. I froze. She asked if we are having sex. I once again just froze. Alice handed me a condom. We had sex. The sex was great. I know it sounds terrible, but I needed that. I felt emasculated after being cheated on and I needed to feel something. I know it is bad, but I needed that. My confidence has been better since then. This was not love-making, like with my ex. This was just dirty, rough sex. We woke up, had sex in the shower, got ready, and she left for the airport and wished me luck. Even though the sex was great, I felt empty after. This is why I was never into hookups. There is no emotions and I am not a fan of that. That was all that happened till last week. Just quick background for everyone. My ex and my buddy's wife are still friends. According to my buddy, they have talked since everything came out. I guess it pretty much was I am sorry for what happened, but he needed to know. My ex responded by saying that what she did was the right thing. She was upset that my buddy's wife didn't stop her at the club, but my ex understood why given the circumstances. My ex also said that she should have never put her in that situation to begin with. But to last week. Last week an individual on Reddit PM'd me. I have noticed many of you have and I appreciate the kind words even though I may have not messaged you back. I will keep this person private unless they themselves wish to say who they are. This person just wanted to talk and stated that they were and still are in a similar situation. Theirs, however, I will say, is much worse than mine. We got into some very deep and dark talks about our partners. We have talked for the last week. There were a lot of emotion me and that person shared describing our similarities, and how we handled them. How this person dealt with it, amazing. I wish I could be half as brave as they were. But, I remember one question this person asked me. They asked me, would you be content with your life if she moved away to start her life over or if she found someone else? My response was, I don't know, I just want her to be happy. But I know the answer is no. Another thing I mentioned was that she was more popular girl in HS, whereas we all know I wasn't. Her last boyfriend cheated on her and she was very upset by it. I was with her for a long time while she recovered. I mentioned that I had insecurities to this person. How I am nothing like her exes and that I feel like she wanted to cheat to get out of it. Plus, now that everyone knows, I will be seen as the freak who couldn't get anyone else, so I stayed with her. This person responded by saying, listen, that's what people do. They talk. They talk because they have nothing better to do. It's human nature. Who cares what they'll say, just do what you know would be best for the two of you. Fuck everyone else. This really stuck with me. As we talked more, they recommend I write a letter with all my feelings and give it to her. I did this. I wrote everything and said at the end to call me if you would like. I am not going to repeat what I wrote on that letter, but know it was everything I had been feeling. She called and we met later. We went to where our first date was. It was a picnic at the park. I know, cheesy. Our park does Halloween lights, so I thought it would be nice to go there in the evening. When I saw her, I felt butterflies in my stomach and my head got hot. However, I felt awful when I saw her. She looked bad. She looked like she has lost weight, exhausted, and just almost sickly. I have also never seen her so covered up. She never dressed like very revealing, but it wasn't very cold and she was dressed like it was freezing. Before I could get a word in, she starts crying. She started saying that she couldn't believe I still loved her. Then I asked some questions. 1. Was this the only time? I need you to be honest. She said no, she swears. 2. Why did you tell everyone? She said everyone was trying to blame me and make me look like the bad guy and that bothered her. I asked if she feared me telling people and that is why she told. She said no. She knew I would never tell a soul even if she tried anything with me. Deep down I don't think I could have told anyone ever. 3. She then told me she was asked to resign from her job and she did. 4. Her parents hate her. 5. I asked if she enjoyed blowing the stripper? She said no. I mentioned everything. She said she knows. But after she sat down she froze and in her own words, I wanted to shoot myself. After, she went back to the hotel room. Her friends kept drinking and partying at the hotel bar. She told me she has deleted all their contacts and wants nothing to do with them. 6. Also, turns out she was high. Her and her friends ate edibles hours before. My buddy's wife didn't know. I said, I asked if you had taken anything. She didn't tell me because it would just sound like another excuse, so she didn't say anything. 7. Then I asked why you didn't tell me about the cheating. She said she didn't know how. She said that she knew I would never hurt her, but she was scared of what I would do to myself. She knew it was wrong. She was ashamed and scared of how to tell me. I then mentioned my hookup and she cried a lot. She said she has no right to be hurt, but it still hurts. I told her it was just a hookup, nothing more. She then said I still owe revenge on her and told her to not worry about it. I then told her about how I was insecure because I am nothing like her exes. She said she knows and is sorry for that. She mentioned what happened one of the nights I was with her after her ex cheated. I told her I remember. Basically, she kissed me and I said it was her sadness and hormones going crazy and wrote it off. She said that when she kissed me she knew she loved me, she never told me this. We talked a little longer but I knew she needed to eat. I offered to get her something and she said she was fine. I said, "No, you need to eat." I grabbed her hand and said let's go. To say she lit up is an understatement. I took her somewhere to eat and she ate significant other much. I had no issue with it. I was happy to see her eat. I took her to her car and she asked if we could try again. I said let's start as friends and see what happens. I then said you are going to have to deal with my emotions for a long time and she said she will do whatever it takes. I then mentioned I will call her boss to get her job back. I know him decently well and will ask him. I did and she started back today. Small business and I know the guy though my grandmother. Then later that week, she came over in the morning to help me decorate for Halloween. Come to find out she told her parents where she went. Her dad said, "He is a better man than me." And her mom said, "If he has it in his heart to forgive you, you better make him the happiest man on this planet because he deserves that." The only issue that day was it was hard to see her sometimes. Still emotions creeping up here and there. But I did my best. We actually were sitting watching a movie while having lunch and I asked if she wanted something and she did hop on top of me and tried to initiate sex. I told her that she is sexy and she is beautiful, but I am not ready for that. She cried. Not because I rejected her, but because she knew why. Some other things were mentioned that I will not discuss. We said we will be having dates a couple times a week. I know it is weird but it feel like I am falling in love with her all over again. I also joked that if this works we should sell my house and move somewhere far from here. She actually was very keen on the idea. She doesn't want to leave her parents, but she said she will leave with me. Plus, this morning I took her to work. She was scared to go in with everything and I offered to take her. I have picked her up and we made dinner and watched a movie. She has went home since then and here I am. So that is update now. I know very long. If you read all of this I am sorry for your wasted time, but thank you. Too long did not read. I talked to someone. Wrote a letter and we met. We are trying to be friends again and see where things go. IDK if you're still taking advice but this is the place so. If you do get back together, selling your home and leaving your incredible support network behind is probably the absolute worst idea possible. Your updates show that they played a major role in helping you through this all. Imagine having to go through something of this emotional scale again. Hopefully not but you know, this time without the stability of a permanent home, or the comfort of your friends, family. Whatever you choose to do with your relationship, I implore you to consider moving away on the things to do WAAAAAAAAAY down the line side of things. Girlfriend hid the fact that she had hooked up with her best friend. Was at a party and my girlfriend was drunk. She gave me her phone to text her sister and I saw a message she had sent that night to her saying, "Just unpacked things with her guy best friend." And her sister said, "Oh, does your boyfriend?" Me, "No, that's bad," etc. The friend was at the party before I got there. I asked her about this and she said they had sex about a year ago, before we started dating. But it meant nothing and she thought it was irrelevant to tell me, since I never overtly asked and she thought I'd get mad. Even though his name has come up and I've asked about what his deal is, in a semi-jealous way, since they've been out for lunch together since we've started dating. He's also invited her to go to museums, concerts, etc. but she was busy with me. Apparently they were unpacking the fact that no one in the friend group knew. They kept it a secret, and talked about how funny it was that it happened, that they borrowed a condom from the doorman, etc. That was her explanation, which I thought was inappropriate. I was mad because I felt like she neglected to tell me and hid it from me even though we talk about stuff like this a lot, and mad that she was unpacking things with this guy I don't know. At first she was defensive and brought up my past hookups, bad, kind of suspect reaction, but then was apologetic and promised to be better, more transparent, and asked if I wanted for her to not speak to him again, which I think is unfair for me to ask of her but open to hearing opinions. Anyway, I thought I was over it but the whole situation is just sketchy to me, still makes me uncomfortable and is making me feel like I've lost trust in her. It's really fucking with my emotional state right now and she just left town for 2 weeks. I am thinking about asking for a short break to clear my head till she gets back but don't know if could do more harm than good. I love her and I know she loves me, but this is tough. I know I have some trust issues. Please let me know opinions, advice on the issue. Too long did not read. Girlfriend omitted the fact that she hooked up with her best friend a few months before me even though she continues to see him for lunch and outings. Hang on, what was she unpacking? They hooked up over a year ago. And they're unpacking it now? Highly sus behavior, bro. A break will do more harm than good. This is sketchy, though. Hiding a fairly recent hookup with him from you and still doing things with him solo, with him likely angling for more. She broke your trust by lying by omission. Then she was still friends and hanging out alone with the guy she previously hooked up with. What more do you need? You should break up with her. My 20 female girlfriend calls me 20 male, an absent parent because I went back to work. I'm only posting here because I'm struggling with the thought of being told I'm being a bad parent provider. When I found out my girlfriend was pregnant last year, I did my best to be supportive. I put her on my bank account, bought her a new SUV and told her she could quit her job if she wanted, which she did. I was supportive and there for the entire pregnancy, and when our son was born I took 8 weeks off work to help her recover and bond with our son. I've worked at my job for 2.5 years now, and in the time I've worked there I've received 2 promotions. The problem started because I went back to work, which means I have to travel out of town 5 days a week. I'm 7 months out from getting a license that would get me a promotion with less travel and a 6-figure salary. We are in a constant argument over my job because of the amount of traveling I have to do. I understand she's struggling being alone 5 days a week with our son, but I don't think she's seeing the long game here. I'm trying to secure a stable future for all of us. I keep telling her she just needs to buckle down for these few months till I get promoted again, but she insists that I quit. I'm at a loss on what to do. If I quit now, I'll have wasted 2.5 years of work experience. On the other hand, I know if I don't get a job close to home, it'll be then end of the relationship and her self-destruction. She has an alcohol problem and I've found a few cans of beer recently which I didn't drink. Am I trying to save a dead relationship? Should I try for custody? I'm tired of being berated when I'm doing the best I can. I'm at a stalemate with myself and need some advice. First, stick with your path in terms of completing the training and the certification. It sounds as if that will position you for greater stability in terms of traveling less and potential for later career growth. Second, get a nanny or put the baby in daycare, even if it's only a couple of days per week. Do something to alleviate the stress of daily caregiving. Has your girlfriend been evaluated for PPD? Is she drinking during the day when she should be focused on the baby? If your girlfriend has previously gone through a program due to drinking, she's at risk of falling off the edge. Keep your child safe. Between your op and comments, it doesn't read as if this is a safe situation for your infant. Get help for your girlfriend and keep the baby safe. Do you have family that can help?